floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all. Standing tall, fear I've weighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to one of the best podcasters here on YouTube. It is the Golden Show here on the Blue Podcast. This is our 1 year anniversary here on the Blue Podcast, and this is a special episode for what we're going to be talking about, and for that reason alone, of course, I've got my right-hand man here, George Kyle, my co-host. How are you doing, George?
Very good, Josh. Yep, I'm very pleased to be back. Obviously been away for a few weeks or so, since just before the Euros, I believe, and yeah, plenty of football's obviously occurred since we last recorded, and plenty of things to discuss, as well as plenty of things to look forward to and obviously predict later on in the show. So yeah, really looking forward to it. And as I said, extremely pleased to be back on the Golden Show on the Blue Podcast.
Have you been enjoying all of this football? Obviously, there's free games every single day there for the last 10, 11 days. There's been so much football, some really exciting games, and some games where you probably could fall asleep.
I think overall, potentially it has been a bit too much in terms of too many games. I think maybe every single day, and also obviously there are certain teams that have not necessarily set the world alight as well. So as you said, a few games that have been uninspiring, but in the main I have very much enjoyed it. I think there's been lots of controversy, lots of excitement, and lots of tension as well, I think, for all the supporters and everyone involved. So yeah, overall very positive, but obviously there have been a few bits and pieces that have been negative. I think the refereeing has been at times atrocious, as it always tends to be in most of these elite competitions. But I'm sure we'll get into that. But like I said, yeah, overall can't complain. And it's incredibly good to have international football tournament, since we have had obviously 3 years since the last one, since the World Cup. So yeah, overall a very positive experience.
So that's very well put up. So what we're going to be doing here on today's show is we're going to be doing the round of 16 predictions for the forthcoming games that kick off, I believe Saturday, if I'm correct, George.
That's right, yeah.
So I think it's Saturday to Tuesday, and then it's on to the quarterfinals after that. So there's a lot of games to get through. So we're going to go in order and what they play at. So first of all, we're going to start off with the game at 5 o'clock on the Saturday at the Johan Cruyff Arena in Amsterdam, Wales and Denmark, where unfortunately no Welsh fans are able to travel because of the restrictions they have in Wales. So I don't know how many Denmark fans will be there. We don't know, but I underestimated Wales. I actually thought Wales were going to finish bottom of their group. I massively got that wrong. They've played really, really well. Dan James has actually played probably one of our best players. Aaron Ramsey's turned up. Gareth Bale's done well. Kiefer Moore's done well. Joe Allen's doing well. Danny Moore's doing well, you know. And Denmark, obviously, we know what happened with Ericsson, but they played really, really well against Russia, like scarily well against Russia. So on paper, it's evenly matched. I found it tough to pick a score in this one.
Yeah, I think you've sort of summarised it quite nicely, really. Obviously, Wales I had predicted to come second in the group, so obviously it went according to plan. But obviously, I think I had, obviously in that specific group, I had Turkey and Switzerland the other way around. So I had Turkey third and Switzerland fourth. So obviously, it's slightly incorrect. It was what my prediction was. But yeah, overall, Wales do have that sort of quality up top. Obviously, Gareth Bale, although he's not as incredible as he once was. You know, maybe a few years ago he was, a mercurial talent. But he's still, even when players lose that sort of yard of pace, so he's not quite as, he doesn't quite offer that anymore. He still has that incredible touch and incredible vision and passing ability, which, in particular, Turkey were unfortunate to be on the receiving end of. Aaron Ramsey, again, you've mentioned, obviously a very good player. He's chipped in with a few important goals, although he has been he has missed quite a lot as well. So it depends what sort of Ramsey you get. We're going to get in the second round. And as you said, Dan James, always a threat in terms of pace, but maybe sort of end product isn't the best. And then Denmark have recovered well from that horrendous incident, obviously with Ericsson, and have gone through, which I'm sure a lot of neutral fans, myself included, were quite happy about. Given the tragedy that had started their campaign off. Overall, as you said, I think in terms of what my prediction is, it is incredibly difficult to call because actually this is one of the closest. I think it's going to be one of the closest matches of all because both teams I think are quite evenly matched in terms of ability. But I am going to go for. And it's difficult here as well because part of me emotionally wants obviously Wales because I quite like the home nations, as you may already know. I quite like the home nations to do well. So part of me, sort of the more emotional part, wants to say Wales are going to win. But I think I'm going to be quite logical today, and I'm going to say Denmark will win, and I will say it will be 2-1 to Denmark.
I disagreed. I just recorded the predictions video for my channel. I'm going to upload this straight after we're done here. I've gone with a 2-0 win for Wales. I really like the system. I like the setup. I like the closeness, and I just feel like Aaron Ramsey, Kiefer Moore, Gareth Bale, and Dan James. That's when they're on there going. That's a really tough attack. So Denmark defensively have not been particularly amazing. Their midfield isn't great, and their attack, Poulsen and Braithwaite, they're just a hit and miss team. So I just feel like Wales are just better collectively, and even the subs that Wales have some players off the bench that they could bring on. So it's going to be a disagreement on this one. I've got Wales going through 2-0.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. Actually, that one is very difficult to call. It won't, either way of whichever one of us gets it right or wrong. It's going to be almost like a toss of a coin, isn't it, between those two? So yeah.
Now on to the next game, which I believe is at Wembley Stadium at 8 o'clock between Italy and Austria. I'm going to keep this as plain and simple. I've got this down as Austria just trying to keep the score down more than who's going to win the game. It's the first time Austria have qualified to the knockouts ever. And winning against North Macedonia was their first win in a European competition finals. The Austrian manager, was under serious pressure because of his pragmatic style, because results weren't going his way for the squad he has. But yes, it's at Wembley, so at least you're not going to Rome, like the other teams had to. But Austria aren't going to do anything here, are they? Not with the format you're in.
They could do ultimately. that's what we should say as a caveat for all of these predictions, is that, as we've seen, particularly in the group of death, the way that Hungary drew obviously every other team close to them, there's never any certainties in football, and it's only over 90 minutes and nothing can happen. But I can't disagree. I think Italy will win because they do have far superior quality. I think also they've been in scintillating form throughout the tournament, even having time, obviously, with the fact that they'd won both of their first 2 games, having time to rest all the players as well. I think that's a big thing. Obviously, Austria had a key match against Ukraine, which they had to win, but Italy were able to rotate. I think it was only 3 players, wasn't it, who had started the other 2 matches, who retained their places, which is obviously
Austria played really, really well against Ukraine. Like, I thought some of their attacking play and some of just the way their general settle of the team was really, really well balanced.
Yeah. I just think Italy have got too much talent for Austria, and I think it's going to be, and also as well, obviously Italy have got along with England, are the only 2 teams that haven't conceded a goal at these championships so far. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 to Italy.
I've gone for 3-0. That's just, but yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. If anyone thinks Austria's going to win and put the bet on it, then good luck. On to Sunday's games. The game at 5 o'clock on the Sunday between the Dutch and the Czech Republic at the Perkus Arena in, I think that's Romania. I think off the top of my head. Right, the Dutch have surprised me. I thought the Dutch were going to flop onto Frank de Boer. I thought they were going to be ugly, terrible, and the 5-3-2 system wasn't going to work, but they've been the opposite. They've been really, really exciting to watch. They've scored goals, they're creating chances. Defensively, they look really, really suspect, like extremely suspect at the back. The Czech Republic have done better than I expected. Patrick Schick's in good form, Scherg in the midfield, Kufal at the back, Thomas. I know you don't rate the Czech Republic goalkeeper, Thomas Fladik in goal, but he is generally an overall decent goalkeeper, starting goalkeeper for Sevilla. On paper, you think the Dutch should win this, but the Czech Republic have proven, they did well against England. They bet Croatia, they got a draw against Croatia and bet Scotland. They're a good team, but the Dutch probably should have too much attacking talent maybe in the end to win. But it's good. I think this is going to be one of the more interesting ties. I don't know them.
I think it will be. It is going to be again. I think definitely. I think the Netherlands are going to win. I think that's for me. Again, Czech Republic could cause an upset, but again, on paper and in reality, as you sort of said, the Dutch really have been one of the most impressive teams at this tournament. In their group as well, especially attacking wise. I think obviously Memphis Depay has been in scintillating form. I'm a massive fan of Frenkie de Jong as well. I think he dictates play exceptionally from that midfield. Obviously, Gini Wijnaldum's in fine goal scoring form. He's potential for a golden boot. Obviously, he's currently on 3 goals at the moment. And I think overall the Dutch have been incredibly impressive attacking wise. But then, as you said, they do have that weakness defensively. They've conceded quite a few goals, and it's whether Czech Republic can exploit that or not. But yeah, overall, in summary, I think the Dutch are going to win, and I think it will be 3-1 to the Dutch.
I've gone. I think I can't remember what I've gone for in my predictions video. I don't remember, but I do have the Dutch to go for. I think it's 2-0. I think 15 for the Czech Republic have got a good account of themselves. They'll make it off. But if Depay and Wijnaldum, Frankie de Jong, and Dumfries are in the form that they have in the group stage, it's just going to be too much. Yeah. Onto the game at 8 o'clock at Sevilla. Yeah, Sevilla between Belgium and Portugal. Now, Belgium have looked really good. Now, I know a lot of people don't rate Belgium because of Roberto Martinez and his history, and defensively they looked a bit suspect because obviously their best centre backs are quite old now, and obviously Vincent Kompany isn't there anymore. He's retired from international. But Lukaku, Torgan Hazard, Eden Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, Dries Mertens, Alex Witsel, Thomas Meunier, they're all in incredible form. We've got Tielemans there on the bench, Chadley's on the bench. So the Belgium are in really, really good form. I don't think they haven't lost a game in quite a while. They go for their group easily enough. Portugal have been extremely underwhelming. Terrible against Hungary. Got a bit of luck to score. Against France, they didn't really do anything special, and against Germany, they were completely outplayed. So it looks close on paper, but the 2 different forms can be any different.
I still think Portugal will beat Belgium. I think what I've been quite impressed with Santos is the fact that he has, and whether he sticks with it or not will be quite key to this, but the fact that he has replaced, obviously he was originally having, obviously, the two CDMs he was originally having in there as well. But now he's obviously Bruno as well, but now he's sort of switched it and he's now playing Moutinho and Sanchez against both France and obviously when he came on against Germany has been exceptional. I think he was dominating that midfield, and I can see exactly the same thing happening against Belgium. There's something about Sanchez, like I said, obviously about 5 years ago at Euro 2016, he was sort of the up and coming. He was going to be the best, the next best thing, and an incredible young player. But it didn't quite hasn't quite happened to him in club football. But just watching him again, he's really is quite an exceptional talent. Moutinho again is very incredibly competent. So as long as he keeps that midfield. And obviously, with Portugal having, again, I'm not a biggest fan of Diego Jota. I know he's got some contributions at this tournament, but I think he's, overall he's quite weak, and his decision making is very poor as well. But Bernardo Silva, I think, has been, very good. And obviously, they've got, in my opinion, in a way, the best player of all time up front in Cristiano Ronaldo, who is obviously in good goal scoring form and is, for the Golden Boot. And Belgium are typical. Again, it will maybe come back to haunt me, but Belgium are typical bottlers in big tournaments. They're often, they're often sort of bigged up, but then when it comes to hardships, I think they struggle. Also, what I would say is that I think obviously De Bruyne is a phenomenal player, and obviously Lukaku is as well. So it's whether those two players can play really well. Because I still think with Eden Hazard, I think Chelsea were quite a wise decision that Chelsea made to offload him because he's not the Hazard.
We didn't decide to let go of him. His contract was up, so we just cashed in on him, or we lost him for free. So
yeah, whichever way it happened, it was very fortuitous, I think, for Chelsea that they got rid of him because he seems a shadow of his former self. And then, as you sort of spoken about, I think that ageing back line, I really do see that as a massive vulnerability. And I think Pepe and Diaz, although they haven't been, particularly solid, I think they did get better against. I think the defence was actually very good against France. Obviously, they got beaten by a brilliant ball from Pogba and Benzema's goal. But as we both know, that Benzema penalty, the one on Mbappe from Semedo, was if that's the softest, worst decision I think I've seen at this entire championships for that big penalty. So again, they were, and that's in France, I think overall they've got the best squad, the best team in the championships in France, and they have more than held their own. So I still think Portugal will go through. It will be close though, could go either way, and it's definitely the tie of the round. But I think Belgium 1, Portugal 2.
I've got it the opposite. I've got Belgium winning 2-1. I understand what you're saying. The back line of Portugal, just Nelson Semedo has had a nightmare. Guerrero is not a left back; he's a left winger, and Diaz and Pepe just don't look like they complement each other at all. Now, yes, as you've made a very good point. The midfield is a big difference. I think Moutinho and Sanchez was far better than Cavalli and Bruno. Right? So yes, that definitely is a big difference that helped. But then even the attack, Ronaldo's done stuff, but he isn't being helped. Jota hasn't done particularly well, has he? And then whoever's been on the right. I look at Belgium. Okay, both defenses are very this could be a very open game for all we know. It could be extremely open, but I think De Bruyne and Fitzel in the midfield, or De Bruyne and Tielemans and Fitzel will just dominate. I think the wing. If you look at the wing backs that Germany used. Portugal had no answer for them. I think it's going to be exactly the same here for Belgium, and I think Lukaku's just going to have fun. So I think Portugal will win out, and I think Santos will then be sacked because I think there's no way you can keep Santos. I know he's done well. You won the Nations League, you won the Euro, but you can't go out with the round of 16 with this Portuguese team. Play defensive, play stubbornly. Yeah, you would have to get sacked. On to Monday's fixtures at 5:00. First game. I can't call this game. Let's take it stuff. Croatia and Spain. Croatia probably lucky to go through. They're probably very lucky to go through. They were terrible against England. They were woeful against the Czech Republic, and then decided to turn up against Scotland. A key thing for Croatia was the tactical change made against Scotland, where he changed it from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1. He played Modric further forward as a number 10 with Brozovic and Kovacic in the midfield. That made a massive, massive difference. He played an actual striker. He didn't play Radic. and Kamrich were left on the bench. That massively helps. It kind of showed us that it made the World Cup. It kind of showed us the Croatia that made the World Cup World Cup final 5. Spain on the other hand, though, Spain, they create chances, but they can't finish them. Morata has continued to be awful. Gianmarino's out of position. The midfield creates nothing, and the defense has been okay, but they haven't really been threatened. But I don't know. It's a really difficult one. It's two teams that are meant to be really, really good, but have been absolutely shit. That's basically what this game is. But I've actually got Croatia beating Spain because if Croatia play like they did against Spain, against Scotland, I think the midfield battle will be won by Spain. I think Spain will struggle to create chances and score chances. So I've got Croatia going through 2-1.
I am going to disagree. I think Spain will go through. I think what they do very well is you are right, obviously they are very profligate. They miss lots of chances. Obviously Morata up front is a waste of space. But I think Spain will dominate the ball, definitely. I think possession will be mostly with Spain, and I think eventually they'll sort of wear Croatia down. I think Croatia are, although they did very well against Scotland, I need to be very careful with what I say here, but I think obviously Spain are a very different kettle of fish to Scotland, is what I would say, which I think we can all sort of agree on. I think Spain are much more cohesive and in terms of attacking and in terms of overall play, and I think they've also got almost that confidence boost. I think although Slovakia will probably turned in the worst performance of this entire tournament, I think that's a real boost for Spain. I think they're going to win, but it won't be pretty, and I will go 1-0 to Spain. I don't see Croatia necessarily scoring. I think it'll be very similar to the game that we had against them in that first game, where obviously where they have limited opportunities, is what I would say, because obviously, as we know with Spain, they'll just have all the possessions. They'll strangle Croatia. I think Croatia will struggle to create anything, so I think it'll be 1-0 to Spain.
Me and you disagree a lot, I think. So the next week's show is going to be very interesting when we come back and reflect on all of this. Either Mr. Josh will come on top or Mr. George will come on top. But I don't think there's going to be any disagreements for the game at the Area Nationalia at 8 o'clock between France and Switzerland. Listen, Switzerland are good, are a solid team defensively. They're not easy to play against. But as we said against Italy, when they come up against a team that attacks, we're going to tackle it really bloody. The midfield. The midfield is literally non-existent. Like Granit Xhaka is our best midfielder. What hope do you have? Jan Sommer's good in goal. Centre backs in there, but I can't see them scoring. France defensively are incredible. I don't see Switzerland scoring, and I see France scoring a few. I've got France going 3-3 now. I think Switzerland will make it a bit difficult, but France should get this through comfortably. No, France have not played. France in the group stage did not play well. France have not been anything impressive whatsoever. But I think that game against Italy showed me Switzerland just can't keep up with the big teams.
Yep, 100%. We're agreeing on this one. France will win. I think it might be slightly closer than you've said, but only that because of its fact it's knockout, and I think Switzerland will have a game plan trying to park the bus and really making things difficult for France to break down. But I still see France. It could be, you are right, it could even be higher than what you've predicted, but I actually see it being a 2-0 to France, I think. I think they will struggle slightly to break them down, but I think of all the games, and whether this will come back to haunt me or not, but I think of all the ties, I think this is the most nailed on that France are going to win, because
Italy and Austria, though. Italy and Austria.
I still see Austria being a slightly better team than Switzerland. And obviously, I don't think. Again, I'm obviously, other people disagree with me, but I still see France as being a better team than Italy overall. So, like I said, I still see this as being a nailed-on French win. I think France, as you said, their defence is still very, very solid. Obviously, Paul Pogba has been incredible. He's obviously got Kante to back him up now, and Benzema's now in the goals as well. He's looking red hot, and obviously you've always got Mbappe as well with Pogba supplying him. I think that was going to be far too much for the Swiss to handle, and they'll be out.
Do you think it'll be a double decker? All the doors locked, the doors closed from the Switzerland. Do you think it'll be a double decker? Maybe a Titanic thrown in there just to.
Yeah.
On the Tuesday, we're going to leave your home nation to last because I know that we'll go into a bit more detail about England. I know we have a lot of England fans watching, so we'll keep the detail for England. But this is just a weird game to try and predict. Sweden and Ukraine at Hampden Park in Scotland, right? Ukraine, they are so lucky to be in the North. It's unbelievably lucky. Like, they bet North Macedonia, and that's them in. That's against the Dutch. Okay, yes, they brought it back to TH, but they were so defensively open and terrible. And then against Austria, they were outplayed. Austria outplayed them. It's as simple as that. Ukraine came into this as not as an underdog, but as someone who you were, someone to keep your eye on. A team under Zinchenko who play good football, who are exciting to watch, decent players, but they haven't lived up to the expectations at the moment. And the fact that they're in the knockouts is just nothing more than luck. It's just nothing more than luck. And they come up against a Sweden team who are, Sweden are born. They play 4-4. They said they parked the bus. They are so ugly and difficult to play against. They're horrible to watch. But Jan Anderson got them to the quarterfinals of the World Cup 5 years ago, playing this way. He's got them out. He finished top of the group with Poland and Spain. They're unbeaten. They don't concede goals, and they have scored a fair few goals. It's attack versus defense in this game. Ukraine will have the ball. Sweden will defend. I've got Sweden going through 1-0 because it's just what Sweden do under Jan Anderson. They are just. Yes, they're ugly and they're poor, but they are bloody effective doing it. And I think Ukraine have no impressed me whatsoever, and I think they will actually go out, and I think Sweden will go through 1-0.
I am going to agree in terms of who's going to go through in Sweden. I think Sweden, as you said, probably the most negative team that are left in it. Really sort of really defensive, pragmatic approach. But at the same time, I think a lot is going to depend on Victor Lindelof. He's exemplary against Spain, got his star of the match, whatever it was, but then was at fault for both of the goals that Poland scored. Which especially the second one was some slack marking where he had Lewandowski on for the cross and then started running towards the ball, missed the ball, and it went to Lewandowski to score the equaliser. So, but I still see. I think actually I will agree with you on the score. Actually, I think 1-0, just because I can see both teams really struggling. Obviously, Ukraine do have Yarmolenko, who is he's very, very talented. But I'm sure Sweden will be aware of it, and I think it will be a very, very tight, cagey match. And yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Sweden 1, Ukraine 0.
Will you be on the edge? Would you be on the edge of your seat and? Are you frightened with excitement? Are you ready for an incredible game of football, or are you going to maybe just give it a miss?
I will still watch it. I'm going to try and watch all of the second round matches, but I think sometimes obviously you get surprises, don't you? When you think something's going to be really good, it's sometimes really bad. When for example the England-Scotland match, I'm sure obviously as you as a neutral, I mean the way it had been built up by our media, it was going to be the Battle of Britain or whatever, and it was going to be an incredible match, but it was quite boring really overall, that match. So sometimes when you build something up like that, it can be very poor. But similarly, if you say something's going to be quite bad, sometimes it can surprise you. So hopefully it will. I don't think it will, but we can but hope. But like I said, I will try and be watching all of the matches in the second round.
And then on to the final game, England and Germany at Wembley at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, the 29th of June. Right. Okay, first of all, before we go into detail about England and Germany, in terms of like each team and blah blah blah, right, obviously you were getting a Group F. Now you could have got Hungary. You could have got Hungary, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing after the way Hungary were playing in that group. So take Hungary out of it because we didn't expect Hungary to get through. All right, regardless of how well they played. Are you happy with Germany out of Portugal and France? Would you prefer Portugal? Would you prefer France? Out of the incredible difficult games you're always going to get, are you happy with your opponents in the end?
It's probably quite controversial for me to say yes, I am, but I think overall I am. I think no matter what, I think we'd maybe be, in most neutral eyes, would still be the underdog against all three of those teams because, all three of those have had success, particularly in the recent past, obviously winning trophies nationally. Obviously, we know Germany, although there won't be too many survivors from it, there's obviously a 2014 World Cup, Portugal, Euro 2016, the Nations League, and obviously France, finalists in Euro 2016, but then obviously World Cup winners 3 years ago. So all three have got far more pedigree than England have got. But I think overall I still would prefer Germany over the other two. I think Portugal we've struggled against quite often. In the recent past, in my lifetime anyway, we've often been eliminated by them. Particularly during the 2000s, some horrific memories of Euro 2004 and World Cup 2006. So yeah, I think I didn't necessarily want to play Portugal, and also you've got Ronaldo, who's always likely to score, and obviously France. I still maintain that they are the best team in the Euro, so definitely we didn't want them. I think not only have they got obviously the best team on paper in terms of the starting 11, but obviously you've also got a factor in the bench. And I think even against Portugal, when they sort of have the abundance of talent to be able to bring on Kingsley Coman to run at a tiring Portugal, that they've got quality to really hurt you. So I think it's slightly close between Portugal and Germany as who you would want to face, but definitely not France. Like I said, just because of the the sheer depth that they've got, which is far exceeds any nation in my view. And what I would say about Germany, and I will need to watch obviously the Hungary-Germany match back, but if Hungary can push them that close, I'm pretty sure that England, with a lot better, with greatest respect to Hungary, I'm pretty sure England with better players, and obviously with the advantage of playing at Wembley, because obviously Germany had all the advantage in their group of playing in Munich, didn't they? So really, we should have expected them to do well, having all that home advantage. And the other thing about Germany, which I think is going to be key, is I think they do struggle to score. I think they've not really got a natural striker in their squad. Against Portugal, obviously they created lots of chances, but they were given a massive hand in that by the fact that Ruben Diaz and Rafael Guerreiro didn't know which way they were shooting to give them 2 goals. And I again, that was such a massive help for them. And again, obviously, the sort of couple of goals against, and even the sort of way the Hungarians scored as well, which were quite simplistic goals. They were very, very poor defending and almost sort of uncharacteristic of Germany. Very poor defending. So I think overall of those three, to answer the question overall, I think I'm happy that it's Germany, but not happy at the same time because I'd have rather it being Hungary.
Right. So what do you make of England's group stage? So I believe you bet the Czech Republic 1-0, and the second half was an absolute snooze fest. I wasted.
Correct. Croatia as well, 1-0. Yeah.
I wasted 45 minutes of my life watching that Czech Republic game. You bet Croatia 1-0. First 20 minutes, you bloody were exciting. After that, snooze fest, and then the Scotland game. I know you disagree, but I still feel like Scotland should have got a result out of that game. Southgate and safe defensive play.
I think it's going to be. I think in terms of our sort of group overall, it wasn't exciting, but at the same time, I think Southgate in some ways is right in the fact that teams tend to be the teams that do well at tournaments tend to be quite pragmatic and really sort of sharp shop. In Portugal, no one really remembers how they sort of won the Euros 5 years ago, but again that was incredibly defensive. Pepe was the player of the tournament, was incredible, and England have been incredible. there's definitely, no matter what, even if I've sort of made claims about maybe Germany not having a prolific or potent strike force, in my view anyway, there's still going to be, obviously, they're going to create more chances definitely than any of the three teams we had in the group, because we did have a relatively straightforward group, really. So it's going to be interesting to see the step up, but I am still hopeful. I think a lot's going to depend on obviously how we contain their wing backs, especially I think Gosens, and obviously it'll be Gosens and Kimmich, and it'll be how we contain them. But I still think Germany miss a lot of chances. I think they just don't have that clinical edge, which I'm thinking will lend itself to England. But Southgate, if there's one match he needs to get right, it's this one, because whoever gets through this has then got either Sweden or Ukraine in the quarters. And then in the semi-final has probably got the Dutch. So the route to the final is there for England. But this is the big test now, the big litmus test. But home advantage, and hopefully as well with Germany, they've maybe exhausted themselves or tired themselves out playing against three really tough teams. Whereas I think England have been sort of like playing in first gear most of the time against, as you said, it's been a snooze fest. They've not really exhausted themselves at all playing against any of the teams in the group. So yeah, it's going to be extremely interesting.
My prediction for the game: Germany were okay against France, really good against Portugal, and then underwhelming against Hungary. So they're hot and cold. They do probably don't even know their best form at the moment either. I'm still not convinced by the 3-4-3 they play. Still, I think Werner or Havertz has to start up front next game. None of this false nine, bloody Mallorca. I don't think it works internationally. False nine. I just don't think you have enough time to work on the movement and the interchange. And England. See, it's hard because you don't know what you're going to get with England. You don't know what you're going to. They could be really, really good, or they could be really, really bad. So you haven't been consistent under Southgate. A lot of people have been saying by switching to a back five against Germany to match them.
No, I
can't see it. You won't have enough time. You won't have enough time to prepare. To change the whole system. No international team has time to change the system. So. But I think I have a funny feeling Germany are going to win. Germany in the knockout stages are normally different level. Lucky Law's record in knockout games is very, very good. I just think like England. I just feel like England are just going to be in for a very different game. I just think under Southgate you're not going to be able to match it. I've got Germany winning 2-1 and knocking you out on your home soil. You're going to disagree because you're English. You're going to say England's going to win. But what's your reasons?
Just for what I've said, really, I think England. This isn't the Germany of old. This isn't the Germany that I've seen many Germanys over my lifetime, and this is one of the poorest versions of them. I think if Germany had still had Miroslav Klose playing up front, so a genuine out-and-out goal scorer, or someone of that nature, I think that would be when I would maybe tip Germany. But I still see Germany missing lots and lots of chances. I think also as well with England, we do play very deep, so I think it will be very similar. I see a very sort of similar game to the one they had against France, where again you saw that Germany couldn't really create too many chances. Obviously France are a lot better than England. we've got to sort of say that there as well. But I think England, it depends how Southgate plays it, but England do have been quite solid defensively, and like I said, Germany do struggle against a properly deep back line without players trying to score own goals as well to help them out. So I still see England going through, and also as well, obviously England still probably play Sterling, which might be a good idea as well. And we saw that Mbappe, to be honest, that 1-0 France could have been a lot. It could have been a lot more, couldn't it? They were very lucky on a couple of offside calls, Germany, where it could have been like 2-3. So France would have been out of sight because they struggle against that pace. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Rudiger, but I think Hummels is, how old is Hummels now? About 50, about sort of Gandalf's dad age. So I think. I still see. I mean, all this will probably come back to haunt me on Wednesday when Germany win. But I see England going through, and also obviously home advantage. I think that is Germany have had that all their group, which they were very lucky to have, because I think England were lucky, the same as England were lucky to have all their home matches. I think home advantage as well play a big part, and I think 2-1 England.
Okay, see, maybe a last minute winner for England just to send you absolutely crazy. But listen, everyone, that is our predictions for the round of 16 for the year late Euros. If you please let us know your predictions in the comments below. This video will be on Friday at 4 o'clock, so you have plenty of time to put your predictions in before the games kick off on Saturday. See if you put me and George to absolute shame. Of course, we're all Team Josh here, all right? We're all Team Josh here, all right? So hashtag Team Josh in the chat. Screw George. But me and George said we're going to go for an hour, so we've got 20 minutes to roughly go. So George, we're just going to very briefly talk about Man United and Chelsea transfer plans, because obviously there's a few things going on, obviously during the international scene. Obviously, Jadon Sancho transfer saga is finally done. It looks like that deal has been wrapped, sealed, and done. It looks like you are signing Jadon Sancho for €95 million. Chelsea, obviously, we're going for Hakimi. We were talking to Hakimi. Nothing materialised. We didn't put an offer in. He's going to PSG. But I think the most depressing thing from the Telegraph 2 days ago, Thomas Tuchel wants to have a look at Bakayoko in pre-season. I'm going to see Bakayoko play in a Chelsea shirt. I don't care if it's pre-season. I don't care if it's friendlies. Bakayoko back in Corbin playing in a Chelsea shirt. What, George? Why are we giving this man another chance? He's awful. Why are we letting Bakayoko come back? Why?
To be honest with you, I don't necessarily believe that you will give him a proper chance. Chelsea's transfer business is usually very good, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest. I know there's obviously, what's the name of that? The lady, is it Marina? Is that her name?
Martina. I can't say her last name because it's Russian.
Martina. But she obviously there was trends of Martina out, but because you weren't going to get Ashraf Hakimi on Twitter, I saw he would have been. I think I've seen him a lot, and he's a very good right back. I think PSG have obviously it's cost them a lot of a pretty penny, but I think he's a very, very good right back. I think obviously maybe he'd sort of suit, or maybe he might have been looking to replace Reece James, who again, just very briefly in terms of the Euros, has been in the games that I've seen him has been terrible. I wanted Kyle Walker to play right back at the start of the tournament, and thankfully he's now back at Kyle Walker's back in right back because the Reece James experiment failed spectacularly. He was terrible against Scotland. Anyway, back to the original point. So yeah, I think you will eventually do some good business. I know obviously you're still linked to Erling Haaland, are you not? And you're obviously probably the only club really that's going to be able to afford the 150 million or whatever it's going to take to prize him away from Dortmund. What I would say on that is that if Chelsea pay the money, if Chelsea offer that, Dortmund will take it. That's the thing about Dortmund. If they give a price, they will sell. We know obviously that's the case because of what happened with Dembele, what's obviously going to happen with Sancho, but also what happened with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang as well. We know there was that was very public about Aubameyang, that as soon as the price was met, it was off you go Aubameyang. So it's going to be the same with Erling Haaland. Obviously, I'm hopeful that Chelsea definitely don't get Haaland, because I think he is, for me, he's going to be the best striker in the world. If he's very close to it now, but he will eventually, within the next few years, become that. So it'll be a very good signing for Chelsea. But I'm hopeful, obviously, that United can be in the conversation next summer. So I'm hopeful that Chelsea won't get him. But yeah, Chelsea at the moment, uncharacteristically quiet. But like I said, I still expect you to go through the same thing as you went through last summer, where you bring in many players for lots and lots of money. Especially, I think FFP doesn't exist anymore, or they're much more lenient now. So obviously, Chelsea can now sort of splash the cash without any recriminations. So I still expect Chelsea to have a very busy and lucrative transfer window. On United's side, obviously, as you said, Jadon Sancho. I'm not sure when that deal is actually going to be wrapped up, though. So I'm still crossing my fingers on that, because we know how prolonged this can be with United, or arguing over pennies and pounds and all sorts like that. So yeah, Sancho will hopefully come within the next few weeks. But again, United, unlike Chelsea, are extremely slow on deals. We know this from many, many years. They take many weeks to negotiate, and then end up paying the first price that they were offered, the first price they were told the player was for anyway. So there was no point in haggling for 5 weeks when you're going to pay the same price anyway. That's happened on multiple players. That's happened on Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Bruno, just off the top of my head, they just end up paying the same price they were offered at the start. So waste weeks and days and ages, mucking around. But obviously Sancho, rumours again about Rafael Varane, and the possibility of signing him. I've seen from a Madrid zone, I think it is, on Twitter. I've seen that Varane's price has now dropped in order to encourage suitors for him, because I think he does want a new challenge. I think it's now down to, I think, 50 million euros. Which roughly equates to about 42 and three quarter, I think, million in pound sterling. So again, that's a real steal, I think, and it's a deal that United should do. And I think also within their source, it said that United were the sort of preferred option or destination for Varane. So I think he's a quality centre back. He would offer us something, much better than Lindelof. I mean, anyone's better than Lindelof. The postman, the chippy, anyone's better than Lindelof. So I'm hopeful we can get Varane in. I really do like Varane. It's a shame we didn't get him 10 years ago when we got Phil Jones instead back in 2011. So yeah, I'm hopefully Varane, but obviously that will then take us to about just over 100 million. So maybe even close to 120 million. With those two signings, if we were to make them. And then you're looking probably with United at buying an auxiliary or a backup right back, which is rumoured to be Kieran Trippier, because obviously he does have family, I believe, that support United. And, he is someone who might be keen to leave Atletico Madrid. But again, Atletico Madrid are charging the earth for him. I think they only paid for him 20 million, I think, in sterling. And now they're obviously saying 30, 35 to try and sell him on to, because they obviously don't want to lose him. And that's probably going to take us, if we did eventually do the deal, that would probably take us up to about 150 million. And that's probably the ceiling of what United will achieve. So I've sort of given you maybe the three players I think United will look to sign. Whether they do that or not is, again, because they're incredibly incompetent and inefficient. So whether that happens or not remains to be seen. I really don't want any sort of secondary options. I think Pau Torres has been mentioned. I don't really rate him as a centre-back option. And I think, maybe there might be a better right-back out there as well than Trippier. I think, there's a real obsession about Trippier, but I think there's got to be someone maybe out there who's maybe not Hakimi price, but maybe there's another right-back out there that might be slightly cheaper. But the real concern for United fans, I think, is that we're not going to get a CDM. I know that we're very much linked to Declan Rice, but obviously his price is going to be exorbitant, and we can't really afford that in this transfer window. And, there's also the fact that he wants to join your club. That's his preferred destination because of, obviously, his family connections. But there is options out there, and I think a CDM is more important. If with that 30 million or so that you're going to spend on Trippier, it'd be much more important and valuable. Maybe keep Delot, maybe bring back when Delot comes back, because obviously we saw him against France and he wasn't too bad. Maybe just keep Delot for that season and then buy a CDM. I think Bissouma's available. Obviously, he might be going to Arsenal, but Bissouma's available. And I think Ruben Neves has also been linked for about that price as well. So I would much prefer us get CDM than the right back. But like I said, I think the outline that I've sort of given you with the right back, backup right back, centre back, and Sancho will be the business that United will look to do. For whatever reason, Ollie prefers to play McTominay and Fred until the day he gets sacked. And that's really the sword that he's going to die on. So that's my sort of thoughts overall on United and Chelsea transfers.
I've got nothing to add to that. That's pretty much for me. So the only thing probably for Chelsea, I feel like Billy Gilmore will be going to Norwich on loan next season, which I think is a really, really good move for him. If that's why we're thinking about bringing back Yogo in for him, I say if I see back Yogo, even in a Premier League squad, I think I'd probably jump up my window and hide under a rock. But
what do you think that Chelsea need? Obviously, a striker, Haaland, whatever. But do you think Chelsea need any other positions? Do you think that you'll sort of need a bit of improvement in, or people?
We need someone. We need to replace Ziyech. I like Ziyech, but I just don't think the Premier League says. I think he's like a Serie A, maybe in a bit more of a slower league where he can dictate play. I just don't think the Premier League sits him at all, and I don't think Thomas Tuchel's system, if it is the 3-4-2-1 next year, sits him either. So I would most definitely try and get someone else for Ziyech, but I don't think we'll see. I think Chelsea will throw all their eggs in the bag. If we're going to go out here and pay 150 million on Haaland's a Glenavon goalkeeper. I think that means that we're going to we're not going to buy anyone else. I maybe would go for Declan Rice potentially, but Jorginho has done nothing to not be dropped, and Jorginho's having a good year. So I think let's see a striker, and if we can't get that, we can't get Harry Kane. obviously we know Manchester City put in that 100 million bid plus 3 players for Harry Kane. Haaland is going to be a difficult deal. I can't see us getting him. I think it'll be too complicated. If the Sancho deal was complicated enough last year, even though it was straightforward, you had all the issues with Haaland not happening. So I don't know if Abraham obviously done a favour. Giroud will be leaving to AC Milan. That leaves you with Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. You can't. So I would definitely I honestly don't know who we'll get though. I don't know. We haven't been linked to.
What about a centre back as well? Obviously, I think Thiago Silva's almost like a stopgap, isn't he? Although he's a good centre back, he's how old is he now? 36 or something like that. So do you think maybe a sort of younger centre back again? Because obviously, I really do rate Rudiger quite highly, but I think how old is Azpilicueta as well now? Isn't he?
31.
Yeah.
It's see, that's the thing about Hakimi. Were we banning Hakimi to move? We might have been moving Hakimi we might have been moving Hakimi to play right wing back to move Reece James to right centre back because Reece James did play there toward the end of last season. So there could be some logic in that, but we haven't been linked yet. We've been linked to Varane, but we've been looking at him. But it's a good question, but you have to also look at we have technically 6 people who can play centre back. Azpilicueta, Rudiger, Thiago Silva, Soma, Christensen, and Reece James. So you have to sell someone. We need for us to even contemplate looking at a centre back. We need to sell one. So if we sell Christensen or Soma being the more likely one, then you bring someone in, but you can't have 6 out and out centre backs on the wages when only 3 of them are going to play, and one's barely going to play any football at all. So you do you understand where I'm coming from? So you can't think about a centre back unless we sell one. It's just one of those cases. I think striker and another number 10 is the only position that I'm looking at and going, we absolutely need that. Other than that, goalkeeper Mendy's obviously done more than enough to warrant all, because obviously we would have been in for Donnarumma otherwise. So literally a striker, and that's the only good things. I can sit back, I can enjoy this transfer window because I'm not as stressed about we must sign this person, that, and you're like Chelsea with the whole Hakimi thing. Chelsea fans weren't thinking, oh, we're going to sign. People were just like, oh, we didn't get him. That's okay. That's just obviously after winning the Champions League, we know the squad can do it. If we sign a striker, there's no reason why we couldn't push for the league next year. I don't think we'll win it. I still don't think we'll win it, but there's no reason why we can't push for it. And it's simple. I just look forward to pre-season. We've got a pre-season tournament with Arsenal, Spurs, and some other club. I can't remember who it is. So pre-season plans are on the way, and I just look forward to it. Obviously, you'll be expecting probably you'll be expecting a trophy this season without a shadow of a doubt. Otherwise, Solskjaer probably will be sacked if he doesn't win a trophy this year.
I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not expecting it because, as you know, I've been Ollie out for many years. So I've been someone who's said repeatedly. Again, I won't get too far into it because I know we've only got a few minutes left. But I think a lot of the excuses that were given for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as to why he failed in those semi-finals were proven. I said that they were false. A lot of those excuses, and they were proven so. That Villarreal game debunked a lot of the myths about how, for example, what a big sort of popular, in my opinion, myth or false opinion was that the reason Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't winning in these matches was simply that the other teams were better than us. And that I think falls a bit short by the fact that we have beaten obviously Man City quite a few times and Chelsea quite a few times over the past seasons in matches that aren't semi-finals. And obviously with Sevilla as well. But again, there was that sort of thought there. But I think with not beating Villarreal, and no disrespect to Villarreal, obviously won their trophy, and deservedly so. They are a very poor side who we should have easily beaten in that final. So again, like I said, a myth that had been propagated by Ollie Inns was again debunked there. So yeah, I'm not expecting a trophy. And then just in terms of sort of the transfer business, as I said, I really do want a CDM. I think if we did get Varane, and there's a big if there because I think there's also these rumours of Pau Torres won't go away, unfortunately. But if we did get Varane or a better centre back, that is going to improve us quite a lot because Lindelof is terrible. I'm not going to sort of mince my words there. He's really, really bad. Makes lots and lots of mistakes and very, very slow.
For everyone who's just new, for everyone who's new to the podcast, I think you still have to say you can tell George hates Lindelof. I think this is something new to the.
Yeah, so but I think even if we do get improved by having a centre back like such as Varane, that CDM, games are won and lost, aren't they, in midfield? And I think you saw that obviously with Chelsea with N'Golo Kante, who was man of the match for them, obviously in those key integral matches in the Champions League. You saw what having someone of that talent, of that ability to dominate in midfield does. And unfortunately, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's obviously, when he has Pogba in there, he doesn't necessarily have a CDM now that Matic is, sort of over the hill. He doesn't have a CDM who can properly hold that midfield. So he forces himself really to obviously go with the McTominay and Fred pivot. And, again, the less said about those two, really, the better. Both very, very poor players who I would get rid of, but they start every week under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it's one of the reasons why we won't win anything. But I'm feel free to prove me wrong, Ollie, this season. Yeah.
Very interesting. Obviously, this season, we'll be back to normal schedule. None of this COVID stuff, and but obviously we still got the Euro. So to remind everyone, please put your Euro round of 16 predictions in the chat. Let us know any detailed comments, anything you want to know. Me and George will be back next Friday, because this is coming out tomorrow as we record this. So it'll be an episode next Friday as you're watching this. Have you got anything to add, George?
No, obviously very pleased to be back. Once again on the Golden Show, obviously discussing all the football, and really looking forward to these second round fixtures. I'm sure both of us, neither one of us is going to emerge with a 100% record on these predictions. I think that's probably the only sort of guaranteed thing. But it's going to be extremely interesting to see how these games pan out. Just hope that they can all be very exciting. And ultimately, the game that we all care about is on that Tuesday, and it's whether England, if England can play the way they can, they will beat Germany. But if Southgate gets it wrong, you'll find me next Friday ranting about him.
So if England lose, make sure everyone have a nice good bit of popcorn ready for Friday 4:00 here on the Blue podcast. But that ends this episode today on the 57th mark. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because our progress is going very well. Make sure to check out the Purple Show that was uploaded on Wednesday night, the 1 year anniversary with Tom, Cam, Ben, and some other guests. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but me and George will be joining the rest of the lads very, very soon, hopefully. So again, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week. We will see you again next Friday, guys. See you later.
Thanks very much, guys. Take care.